So we do have to leave at 12, but I just wanted to get on and talk with you and
Yeah, no, that's what we're doing here. It's really the conversation around the database machine.
yeah.
Um, you've heard enough of me long enough, but also it's just in pieces here and there. So
Hmm.
what this is the organized, like formal process that I went through to
Yeah.
turn that database into 100 sales a year every year,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and my thought process on it too, I've never been, there's a lot of people that get into real estate and they get a little success, and let's say they get 5 or 10 listings from Facebook, and
Yeah.
then they start a course, get 5 to 10 listings from Facebook every month, but they did it
Right.
like once or
Yeah.
twice, and they want to sell programs.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing against selling programs. I have two great friends that have two great programs and a big coach following, but they kind of traded selling real estate for coaching.
Yeah.
It's the same
Okay.
grindstone. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to get on webinars every day and do a pitch and sell, 100 people your $100 program? Or
Right.
do you want to get a call from a seller and go list their house and sell it in 30 days and make the same amount of money?
Right. Right. Yep. Yep. No,
So that's
that's
kind
good.
of why I haven't followed that path. I'm just not willing to give up what I call this freedom. And maybe there's freedom on the other side too. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
it's more selling. And I'd rather just attract business than,
Yeah.
sell business.
Yeah. So would we. I'd rather have it come to us than be calling and so
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, what I'll do, so this is great, and people will kind of pop into this is also um building because I went this route and I'm just doing every Wednesday and just going through the content over and over and over again.
yeah.
I think this is always going to be here
Yeah.
because
Oh good.
it's not real formal. It's just
Yeah.
getting people plugged into the conversation to go, "Oh my gosh, I see that in my business. I could plug that piece in. Oh my
Right.
gosh, that piece would be perfect." And if they get two
Yeah.
or three things, then they're like, "Okay, I probably need to look at this whole program."
Yes. Yeah.
So
No, it's good.
I think it's just going to be an ongoing thing. So I mean, just basically, I'll run through kind of what we've talked about in the last couple weeks again,
Yeah.
because it's so critical on the first part, this silly, what everybody thinks is silly master list that you have to handwrite all these names in this notebook
Right.
that nobody will do, and
Right.
nobody's getting 100 sales a year yet. And I just know that that was the one thing I did that
Yeah.
started the trajectory to like get this stuff in place and really connect with my database.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, actually, this is pretty cool. So this was just on the news this morning. I'm starting to try and collect as much of this real world stuff as I can. We'll
Yeah.
see if um we'll see if this works as well as I kind of hope it will. But so we had voting, all the races are going on and people are voting.
Yeah.
And this gal for Jackson County, it was for one of the positions. She lost 4 years ago, but it's like what she figured out, and she lost by a little bit. Like didn't it wasn't total landslide towards the other guy that had already been in the position for a while. But
Yeah.
this, I don't know. Hopefully you can hear this. Tell me if you can't hear it at all when I hit play, but I'm going to see if. Democratic nomination and overwhelming
Yep.
reelection for Jackson County Executive. Fox 4's Scott Kilbury caught up with her after she was declared the winner. Stacey Lake ran for the same position of Jackson County Executive 4 years ago, but lost Frank White narrowly by less than 4%. She said she had learned a lot that night and hadn't stopped campaigning ever since. Building relationships with people is critical. I believe that the reason why I lost the 2022 race is because a lot of people didn't know me, especially in Eastern Jack. But over time, I had 4 years to establish relationships with Eastern Jack residents so that they understand that I'm honest and sincere when I talk about reforming and modernizing the Jackson County government. Lake had been pounding the pavement with her staff up until the last minute. She actually told us she hadn't slept in 40 hours, and that hard work paid off, as she is now the Democrat. That right there.
Yeah.
If that doesn't say to like run a county of millions of people, she spent 40 freaking hours straight just talking to people, connecting. Why,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about connecting with people that she knew, strengthening relationships, not cold calling leads,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how does that relate to, I'm just curious, how does that relate to your world? Because I know what you've told me about, it feels like a grindstone a lot of times and grinding through the leads. And what do you
Yeah.
what do you think you're doing? What do you think you could do better to not make it such a grind? So are you really literally talking to people who know you, like you, trust you, love you, and that's the grindstone? Or are we cranking on cold call leads and
Yeah. I think I could definitely do better talking to people that know, like, and trust us or haven't yet trusted us, but definitely the golf tournament. I think, and Bryce has been great encouraging me to be like, just call up the people that were there. And there are talking points I can say because we had a survey that went out, and we could say, did you fill out the survey? Um, what did you think of it, and start on that, start there. Um, I hear Bryce coming down. I have Coach Corn on the phone. Um, so I think that, definitely doing better. But I'm not really doing. Here's Bryce too.
What's
what's up, dude?
what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Hanging in
Good.
there. The relationship revolution.
Relationship revolution, baby. We're in it.
Yeah,
We were
baby.
just talking about it. They had on the news a gal that lost in the voting for like executor of Jackson County or something. She lost 4 years ago, and not by a huge margin, but Frank White, by the way, when you heard that name, he's a Royals player. I mean, he was back in the 80s day on the team that took us to the World Series, and his son is also in the politics in Kansas City. So
Okay.
they've got a big following, it's like, but he also jacked up a lot of stuff in the taxes and stuff over the last few years. But she literally, what she did after she lost last year, she said, man, it's all relationships. And she's focused the last 4 years just building relationships every single day.
Sure.
4 freaking years, spent the last 40 hours right before voting calling people basically to ask for their vote, right?
Yeah.
40 hours. And I can tell you right now, 40 hours, she probably talked to 1,000 people on the phone in 40 hours. I think it took me actually more than that. 100 people talking, right? Maybe 20 people actually paying attention, 20 people being nice, and the other 60 people not really time to talk to you. The times I've done bold, right?
Yeah.
The
Right.
100-day bold thing. It was
Yeah.
about five and a half hours every time I did it. It was weird. Like it was literally 5.5 hours every single time.
Yeah.
But that 5 to 6 hours, so you figure if that's 100 people, well, I guess you would have talked to 10, 20, 30, 40 people. That would have been, I can't do my math. 5 hours, 100 people, 10 hours is 200 people, 40 hours is 800 people, almost 1,000 people she probably talked to,
Yeah.
Right.
in 40. Can you imagine if we just made 1,000 calls in the next 40 hours, how much business we would probably have?
Right.
I know. And
Right.
And I'm
then,
not talking about calling strangers. She was calling anybody that was in her cell
right.
phone, her email list, any of that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that, with our golf tournament, a lot of the people that we can call and reach out to right now to follow up about the survey, and just, that would be a lead.
Oh, just a
that you
segue
can just-
to a conversation.
Yeah.
Something bigger, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, so what I was telling Julie too, what we're doing every Wednesday is we're basically going through the actual formal process that I've been able to go back and document since I met Gerber, and he really like pulled all of it out and say, what exactly did you do to get there?
And actually, I mean, I kind of pulled that all out when I started coaching for maps and all that stuff too, because I needed to know what my system was. And so this first part, when I'm hounding on this master list notebook that's names written in a spiral notebook and then finding addresses and phone numbers, they're taking you guys through the process, and anybody watching the video here is the first 6 months when I finally realized it was the database. I'm going to take you back a little further. I'm going to take you through the timeline. So I'm at Keller Williams and I'm having success, right? And I've been kind of doing the things that they talked about in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent with the 8x8 and the 33 touch, because I met Don Hobbs over 30 years ago and I started doing that, but we didn't know what all that stuff was called until the Red Book came out, right?
Mhm.
It didn't have real estate terms. It had Brad Korn's E-Myth version of what to do in real estate. That's what it was, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's so much of that book that I could have wrote 10 years prior to that thing hitting
Right.
the bookshelves. Um, but what happened was when I realized that, and what the way I realized it is we have a thing called Mega Camp. I think there actually was one that just happened. But Mega Camp back in the day, you could only get invited to it if you had 6 million in sales or more. So they really called it Mega Camp for mega agents. And it was supposed to be a higher level conversations for people that are really doing 6 million or more in volume. Now, of course, if you're in San Diego, you could sell 10 houses and still go to the thing. But for overall, it was the higher level conversations that you got invited to, right? Nowadays, I think anybody can go. But those conversations, I'm telling you, for the first 5 years that I was at KW when I switched over, Gary would spend 2 to 3 hours talking about 8x8, 33 touch, top of mind, how the 8 touches in 8 weeks, and writing a handwritten note and making the phone calls and 8 touches in 8 weeks. He talked about this for 2 to 3 hours, every single mega camp, all the time. And even after going for 5 years, actually, I think it was like 6 years now that I think about it, the sixth year, I'm sitting in the audience going, why are we going through this in such detail? Is nobody else doing this? You know? And finally, they quit talking about it. They did not put so much emphasis on it. And I remember the last couple years, Gary would sit on stage, and I'm telling you this, like I know this for a fact that what he was saying he knew is real because I'm in that world, and what I'm about to tell you is real. And he the last few years he would say, talk about the 8x8, 8 touches, 8 weeks, 33 touch keeps you top of mind. Your phone will ring with business, make the phone calls, stay in touch with people, right? Follow up. And he goes, I know you guys aren't doing it. He's talking to $6 million and up producers. There's, 400 of us there. And he's like, guys, here's the thing. I've been talking about this for the last hour and a half, and you're not doing it. You know how I know? Well, first of all, he would say, do an hour. And then the next year he'd say, do this 2 hours a day. By the fourth year, he was like, you got to do this 4 hours a day. And that's when it finally hit the point where he goes, I know you guys aren't doing it. Because if you were actually doing what I just talked about for the last hour and a half for 4 hours a day, there would be no competition. Keller Williams would be the only real estate company in existence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I play out the numbers, and you guys are familiar with the 12-2 conversion rate and the 50-1 conversion rate, right?
Yeah.
So in mass marketing, you're going to get, if you're just like doing email, video, all these little things that we see, it's like, oh, my Facebook lead generation program, my whatever. And if you do it in video, they'll open it more. And if you handwrite the addresses on the envelopes, they'll open them more, those kind of things. If you're marketing to people that you're not connected with, not that you don't know them or they don't know you, but you really haven't connected, talked to them, found out you see their name and you know how many kids they roughly have, if they have pets, where they live, all that stuff, right? You're going to get one piece of business for every 50 people you market to. Now, quick math, and I know you know this, Bryce, is 2% conversion rate, right? 50-1 is 2%. There's nothing in mass marketing at all that gets 2% conversion rate. It's more like a 1/4% if you're just going to blast out 1,000 postcards
That's
to
it.
a neighborhood,
Right.
right? So the reason why it's 2% is because everybody interviewed in that book, the 28 agents interviewed in that book, have been in business for over 20 years. They're all selling 100, they're making $1 million in commissions. He's interviewing them and pulling out everything they're doing and putting it in common buckets, right? The reason it's 50 to 1 at a 2% conversion rate, these people have been in their market for 20, 30 years with billboards and buses and benches and moving trucks and all the marketing for all that time. And they're people that are selling 50, 60, 100, 300 homes a year, right? So think about this for a minute. That is going to be a 2% conversion rate, mass marketing, not connecting, because you've got some residual stuff and you've got exposure around the market. But that's a very expensive way to get a 2% conversion rate, right? In
Yeah.
fact, even the internet leads are like at 1% conversion rate towards the top end. He did an internet study and he was asking everybody to really track our numbers. There was probably about 75 people in the room
Mhm.
and everybody was around 1 to 2% conversion rate. There might have been a couple people that were at 3, but they had figured out that you got to call the leads back within seconds, not minutes. One guy touted like a 10% conversion rate, but I never saw it. I don't know where that number came from, but it averaged out to about 1 to 2% conversion rate, and that's kind of where the industry still is. If you call the leads back that come in through a website or wherever, if you call them back within 30 seconds and you can get them on the phone, you're going to get a 2% to 3% conversion rate, right? So the 50 or the 12 to 2 was people that you connected with, wrote a handwritten note, and did the 8 by 8 with 2 more phone calls in those 8 touches. So week 4 and week 8 were phone calls. This was just listed out in the book. Um, when you do that, your conversion rate goes from 50 to 1 to 12 to 2. And if you run the math on that, 12 to 2 is 6 to 8 times more business than a 50 to 1, right? And the 12 to 2 was one, they do business with you out of 12 people, and one will refer you out of 12 people. That's pretty realistic if you're connected with the database. And so these people that say, oh, we're 98% referral, it's a lie. You're not getting 98% of your business from referrals only, or you're not marketing your listings. You're not doing anything to generate any new business. You're literally just sitting at home waiting for people to call. So I call BS on the whole 98% referral business. It's not real.
Mhm.
Um, and if it is, then you just got a smaller business and you're just missing a lot of business that you could own in your marketplace. So I'm not saying they're not out there, but that those people might be selling 40 homes a year and they have a database of 500 people and they don't market to anybody, anything, anywhere. But then you're doing a disservice to your seller. You should be getting 3 new buyers off every listing that you market if you're marketing it well, right?
Mhm.
So those are the kind of
Right.
things that my brain would always think about. Anyway, so that's where the numbers really are really there for me to sell 100 homes a year for 20 years. I mean, I was just capitalizing on the 12 to 2 and I was only hitting it at about 3 times or 4 times out of that 50 to 1. I never even got to 6 to 8 because I mean, 100 homes a year was really comfortable.
Yeah.
And the phone was ringing with business. I didn't have to work very hard for it.
Yeah.
So this market's kind of killing me because the database what is not churning out as much business with the interest rate staying closer to 7, 6.5, 6.6, not coming down. And we helped all these people get into these 3 and 4% interest rates.
Sure.
I mean, the database business just went in half. Although now we're getting to the point that it should have broke loose this year. I would have thought it would have been bonkers this year because people have now stayed in their houses for 5, 6 years, 7 years longer than they normally would have.
Mhm.
So that's got to bust too, because even in the crashed market, the people that were upside down in their houses or that didn't sell because the values were down all of a sudden came through 3 years later because they now were in their house 3 years longer than they ever wanted to be or outgrew their house at the same pace before, but they couldn't sell because they were upside down. And then it's like as soon as the market went crazy, that's when we were getting 10 offers on every house and everything was flying off the shelves, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just kind of the business kind of still happens the same, but when there's a lull, then there's going to be a tidal wave of business coming behind it. So people that would have done business now are going to do business coming up, and the people that were normally going to do business coming up are still going to be doing business coming up.
Right.
So this is the absolute golden time again to start that database of doing 5 a day, writing 5 notes a day, doing 100 people a month, 1,200 people over the next year, and you will have 100 sales the following year. I mean, you just can't not.
So
Yeah.
I have a question. And I know we have to leave at 12, and I
Yeah,
told
okay.
you when I started, but
Yeah.
Um,
Assuming address.
okay. Well, if you have to go, but so as you know, we had the golf tournament. We have 136 people that played, that attended after, that we talked to, and I went around the course the whole day, so very friendly. We can call them and ask them about the survey. And I've asked this before to other people, but how would you segue into, I don't want to say, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or
Please
invest?
don't ever
I
say
know.
that again.
That's what Bryce is like. Don't ever say that again. So
Yep.
give them value. Do I just hope the connection is going to, in your opinion, what would you recommend?
I do exactly what I did last time I did this, and that would be 5 a day, that list of 130 people. This
Yeah,
is what you're going to want, and this is for everybody. You're going to want to do something with all 130 as soon as possible while it's still fresh.
right.
Forget that. You need those 130 people at 5 a day. It will
Okay.
take you 1 month and 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, if you just went through five until you get five on the phone. Hey, it was so great seeing you at the tournament. You already talked to him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And if you looked at that list of 138 people, how many of them have received a handwritten note from you referencing the conversation you had with them at the golf tournament?
None.
None. So now is the time to do 5 notes today, 5 notes tomorrow, 5 notes the next day. And all you're doing is you're calling them going, hey, it was so great seeing you. I'm glad we got to catch up. By the way, today I am calling for you because we were so focused on the tournament.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? Because I didn't get a chance to really just, what have you been up to? And now it's Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams or goals or, be the connector is what I call it. When they say dreams, it's like, oh, I'd really like to extend our deck or add on to our house, or, I really need to get this project finished. So that's kind of where the dream category falls into. You're not like, what island do you want to move to when you retire? We're not talking about those kind of dreams, right?
Yes.
And Michael Mayer calls it FROG, which is family, recreation, occupation, goals. And it's just like, how do you be your connector there at the end? So it's family, occupation, recreation. How you
Okay.
guys doing? How's the family? Work going okay? What have you guys
Yeah.
been doing for fun besides the tournament? It was great to see you there. I'm glad you made it. And you let them do all the talking.
Okay.
And they're going to say, so how was the thing? Did you raise a lot of money? It's like, I appreciate you asking. We're going to actually send an update out to you to kind of let you know everything that we did. But I was just thinking of you guys because I didn't really get to just see how you were doing when we were at the tournament. And
Right.
you hang up and you drop a note in the mail. So glad to hear the whatever. One thing, the kids were doing great, or that work's going well. Just grab one thing real quick. It was great connecting. Look forward to keeping in touch, Julie and Bryce, right?
Okay.
You're going to get 138 note cards in the mail in the next 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going to do it at 5 a day.
Yep.
Now, here's the next part. Don't worry about anything else past that. Just do that and you will double your business.
Okay.
You're going to pull 2 or 3 deals out of that in the next 3 months if you just did that.
Okay.
and you'll see it
I can do
directly related. But ideally, you would have the 8 touch in there that you would now start them on an 8 touch, which is, did you send the note? So you get to check that one off because you just did it when you started the plan.
Yeah.
And then it's an email, then it's something in the mail, then it's do a text message, but then it's another phone call in 4 weeks. And then
Okay.
it's find them on social media, maybe something else in the mail, maybe another email, and
Okay.
then call them in 8 weeks. I'm telling you that there's magic behind this.
Okay.
So they
And then,
connect, call, note. The next 2 calls will just be, hey, it was just so great catching up with you. And here's what happens every time on the 4 week call. Oh my gosh, we got your note in the mail. Thank you so much, Julie. It was so great. There's like this human connection brain thing connecting that they think of you, they think of just good feelings,
yeah.
right? So
Right.
you don't even have to use the script or anything yet. Who do you
Okay.
know? All that stuff. And then
Good.
week 8, you're just going to let it roll out. It's like, hey, I know we've connected. I said we were going to keep in touch. And I was just thinking of you. Got your name just popped in my head today because it was on my week 8 calls today.
Yeah.
Right. And so your name just popped in my head. Wanted to just let you know I was thinking of you.
Yeah.
That may be all that you get out of that phone call.
Okay.
But what starts to happen, and I know you got to probably go, but what
Yeah.
starts to happen is they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you, my sister is getting married this summer, and I know that they're already talking about buying a house, so I definitely need to get them connected with you.
Yeah.
That starts happening by call 8, the 8 weeks. And then when that ends, you put them on a 33 touch. Now I'm only going to talk to them a few times a year. It's built into just talking to them every 3 months or something. You're not going to call them every 4 weeks forever.
Yeah.
You don't
Okay.
have to at this point because you're anchored in the real estate spot. And if they talk to anybody, if anybody mentions real estate to them during that 8 weeks, your name's coming up in the conversation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won't even know it's happening until your phone rings and go, hey, so and so told me to give you a call. We're just curious if we should do this add-on to our house or not. And they said you were the person to call. You'll start getting those within a month or two.
Okay.
All
And
right.
Ford, remind me again, family occupation, what's R?
Recreation dreams. It's Ford. Just
Yeah.
kind of Google Ford, sales conversations for Ford,
Okay.
FORD.
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's been the sales call formula for a million years, but somehow we all got tricked into, hey, who do you know it's buying or selling real estate? I'm in a contest right now. I want to win. And
Yes.
that would work. You will have 14 to 17 sales if you were already connected with people and then you called and said, hey, I'm in a contest,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
calling them out of the blue, and you'll get 1 or 2 or 3 people out of 100 people to call you back with some leads.
Yeah.
But if you
Okay.
were connected with them, you would have gotten 30,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So,
Okay.
yep, I'd take that 138 list, make that the goal. Like, go buy 138 note cards, even if you have to address them now and put them in a stack and get through 5 a day, or put a sticky note on every 5 with the date. 1 day out, 1 day out, 1 day out, and you call those people until you get 5 of them on the phone. Just have a general conversation, and it was an okay conversation. You're done calling your list then.
Okay.
Cross the people off that you talked to, that you mailed the notes to.
Mm-hmm.
Start again. Just keep going through the list. But once you get to the end of the list, go back to the ones that you didn't connect with and go back through, because now it'll be 3 or 4 or 5 days, a couple weeks later, and you're just going to try and connect again. A few more people will answer the phone till 5 answer, cross them off the list, and just keep going through that list until you get all of them to answer the phone and you've sent them all a handwritten note.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
And
Great.
from a
Thank you.
technical side, if you call them for the third time and you got voicemail, just go ahead and send the note and say, hey, I might have your phone number wrong. I was trying to reach you the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
So, and then you can still send the note and still put them on an 8x8.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
That
Thank
is
you.
actually, this is probably the best call we've had since this started,
Yeah.
because
Oh, good. Good.
direct and very on purpose and so simple to do.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And I've heard it before, but it helps, and this is doable. So it helps to frame it like that. So thank you.
you betcha.
Okay. Good to see you. We'll
All
talk
right. You too.
soon. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that was amazing. That actually is the first step process. And just to kind of go through the stuff, the information that we've kind of covered to really have an action plan to do this. It is about setting up a mindset that this system, this machine is going to create this real estate business that is just going to take your business to a new level. It's going to flip everything around so that your phone starts ringing with business. So when I said 8 touches in 8 weeks, the first is a to do in your database, and it's a series of events, 8 events. Just set up a campaign that says send a note, send an email, send something in the mail, do a text or a to do again, find them on social media, send them a text, something, and then make a phone call. That's 4 weeks out. And then send something in the mail, another email, maybe find them on social media, friend them, and then another phone call. And then in that campaign at the end, it says plan has ended, start the next plan. And then that plan is 33 touches. It'll take a little more time to build that out. But what you don't want to get caught up in is trying to build all the content out first to start that plan. You just need 33 touches to trigger you to do something. Even if it's like every 11 or 12 days it says do something, do something, do something, do something, and then you're going to get in the habit of doing something with that contact record. Once you get emails embedded in, if your software system does auto text messages, those are fine for those in between touches. But in a 33 touch, where there's 33 touches in a year, it's every 12 days, that every 3 months is a phone call built in. And I would suggest even in between those 3 months, so every in a month and a half, it's a to-do of some sort where it forces you to do something, like not an auto text or an auto email, but a actual direct message from you. Hey, was thinking of you. So that would give you 4 phone calls a year every 3 months, once a quarter. And then in between those phone calls, which again is once a quarter, but in between the phone calls is causing you to make another personal touch. Could be pulling up social media. Just there's the name in your contact record. You're at a month and a half into the 33 touch campaign that's running on their name, and it says touch them, do a personal touch of some sort. So you just go to Facebook, you pull them up, you go to messages. You haven't sent them a message on Facebook lately directly, right? Send them a direct message of some sort. Saw the pictures of the birthday party. Oh my gosh, that was so awesome. Looked like total fun. That's sending them a direct message, not anything that's automated. That's going to give you 8 personal touches where you are touching your contact record, looking at their name, making some kind of connection to what's going on in their life 8 times a year. That's not very many. And by the time you're doing 1,200 people a year or 2,400 people in 2 years, if you do your 5 a day, every day, 5 days a week, it's spread out because you're doing 5 today, 5 tomorrow, 5 the next day, and it starts to spread out. So it never really gets overwhelming. And also, what will happen is if you're really sticking to the plan and you've touched somebody 8 times in the last year, you really sent them a direct message, you've been in touch with them, you called them 4 times in a year, when you see them pop up on year 2, 4 times a year, whenever that call is scheduled or whenever that personal touch is going, you're going to find that you've been in touch with them recently. Now their name's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm well connected. There's not even anything I could say to them right now because I talk to them regularly, right? It turns it around to where they're calling you and you're just connected. So these calls don't ever get too overwhelming. It's when you blow them off for a month or 2 months because you got busy, and now you're disconnected. And now when they're popping up, you don't know anything that's going on with them. And now you got to reconnect. So that's the game plan that it plays out. I can't tell you personal details on every single person in my database, but because I see their names so often, I could tell you most of them, right? I mean, we're talking 20, 30, 40, 50% of them. I recognize the name. I see the house that I sold them flash in my head. I see their kids, or I see the last post that I made. It's just a kind of an instant thing. It's the human brain, right? But it's connected. Most people are not connected to 90% of their database. You wouldn't recognize the name if I put the whole list in front of you, and you could be somebody that's been selling houses for 30 years, right? And there's somebody on your list that you sold a house to, and you wouldn't recognize the name if I put it in front of you. I'm telling you, it's more common than you think. So anyway, it is about changing that mindset. This is the on purpose part of building this plan, and it's setting up the systems to remind you to do things, right? So when this says, what are your must execute items that must be done? You calling somebody, connecting, writing the note, and then calling them again in 4 weeks and calling them again in 8 weeks are absolute must execute items that if you skip them and you just roll out some automated email campaign, you're going back to the 50-to-1 result that we were just talking about. If you want to get to the 12-to-2 where you're top of mind and somebody's talking about real estate and they're like, oh my gosh, you need to call Brad, or you need to call Julie, or you need to call Bryce. Those are the times that those phone calls happen. So if you don't have a system in place to remind you to call 5 people that you called 4 weeks ago today, right? And in 8 weeks, remind you to call those same 5 people from 8 weeks ago that you called 4 weeks ago to call in the 8th week. There's no way your brain's going to keep track of this, because it's 5 people the next day, 5 people the next day, 5 people the next day. So it's 5 calls in 4 weeks from now, 2 days after I started the last 5. See how try and keep track of all that stuff, right? So anyway, we're going to end it right here, because this is we're right on the hour. And I think this is so powerful that you hear this and that you set these systems up to just blow them away. And it's the follow-up, right? It's consistency, persistency, predictability, and it's a systematic process. So use the campaigns in your database to remind you to do things. You're just going to start people on those campaigns, a few people every day, so that it will spread it out, and you're not making 100 calls in one day. You're making 5 calls a day for a whole month, and you're talking to 100 people every single month. That is much more manageable, but it's got to be systematized or you're not going to be able to keep up. We're going to keep going through this content. Keep hammering into your brain that this is 100 sale a year minimum, right? If you're really just doing real estate, if you're not doing a million other things like me, coaching, training, building this program out, all that stuff. If I didn't have these systems to stay in front of my database, I wouldn't be able to sell my 60, 70 homes a year right now. And that is because I turned my database over. They did not make the calls. They did not follow the plan. And my business waned back down to 50 sales a year and then went to 30 sales a year. Let me reiterate here, 100 sales a year with the phone ringing in, no hardcore cold calling, no buying leads, none of that stuff. 100 sales a year for over 20 years. The only time it went under 100 is when I turned it over to somebody else to manage for me, and it didn't happen. So the calls didn't get made. I drifted out of top of mind. But what I will tell you is that it carried me for a year or two where it didn't completely turn my business off. It was 50 sales a year within a year later, from 100 to 50. So it was half. But that was it didn't turn off instantly. That was with me not in touch with my database at all for 2 years, because I thought somebody else was running it. Actually, and I got to be transparent there, it was a year. I did not do anything in my database for 1 year except expand that group that I partnered with. And the next year, I saw the sales dropping for the first time in over 20 years, under 100. And so I knew something wasn't right, and I knew what it was. It was the database. So I instantly started plugging back into the database until I figured out that there really wasn't any follow-up happening. And by then I was down to 30 sales, left that partnership, grabbed my database and started rebuilding it. So right now we're on the 60 to 70 a year trajectory, and I'm not reconnected with my whole database yet. So I've completely drifted out of mind with too much of my database right now. But I'm still 60, 70 sales a year. When it was down to 30, all I did was do exactly what we just talked about today. Got back on the phone with 5 a day, wrote the notes, made sure the plan was running, and just kicked it all back up like it was day one. And that has ramped up within, well, it's taken me probably 4 or 5 years to get it back up to 60 to 70 sales. So anyway, enjoy. Take this, like, go back and watch this one again. This is probably one of the most powerful calls that we've had. And it is the turning point or a transition point for you from doing business the way you've always done it to the new way where you can get that switched around, become top of mind with your entire database over time, and get that phone ringing back to you. So I'm going to leave it right here. That was pretty powerful. All right, guys, you know how to find me, or if you don't, find me if you have questions or feel like you're getting stuck on stuff. Get this going. This is the time to do it. All right.